Hello and welcome. My name is Chris, and in this video I will show you how to use the selection tools. Let's begin. Expressive Animator has three select tools. The first one is the selection tool. The second one is the node select tool. And the third one is the transform tool. Now, let's talk about the selection tool. The selection tool, you can select objects. You can resize them like so. But when you resize them, you will notice that its scale remains the same. But its size changes, like the width and height. This is like a destructive operation. It doesn't affect its scale, but it affects its size. You can also select multiple objects by holding Shift and clicking the objects, so. Or you can box select them, like so. Let's move on to the node select tool. You can choose it here in the toolbar, or you can press the A button on your keyboard. With the node tool, we can select the nodes or points, and we can move them around. We can also select multiple nodes by holding the Shift button and clicking on the nodes. We can do that as well by holding Shift and dragging with the box select, like that. We can curve the straight lines, and we can add more nodes while holding the Alt or Option button. You can remove them by holding the same button and clicking on the points or nodes. With the Control or Command button, you can click and drag on a point or node, and you can manipulate the node handles. In order to remove the node handles, we can again hold the Alt or Option button and click on the node handles points, like that. Here on top, we have a few options. We can change it back to straight, and we can go back to how it was. In this case, it was mirrored. We can also choose the handles to be disconnected, so we can move them individually. Or we can choose to be asymmetric, like that. We can also break the nodes, and we can join them back in, like that. There is one more thing I want to talk about with the node tool. As you can see, I selected this object, this rectangle, and no nodes are appearing. That's because when you draw something with the shape tools, you can change their properties, their specific properties, like the radius and let's say for a star, its sides and angle, and so on. In order to manipulate their nodes, you have to convert them first to a path. To convert to a path, you have to right-click on them, choose path, and convert to path. And that's it. Let's do that again for this one. Path, convert to path. And as you see, now you can manipulate your nodes. Now let's take a look at the transform tool. You can choose it here in the toolbar or by pressing the L button on your keyboard. With the transform tool, you can select objects, move their anchor point anywhere you want, and you can rotate them. Notice that the rotation happens around the anchor point. Unlike the selection tool, which will resize the object, the transform tool will change its scale. Let's take a look. As you see, the scale changes. Now let's take a look at the properties panel. Here we can see the transform properties for this object. With this button, you will be able to move the anchor point to the center of the object, like so. Or you can click and hold the button to move the anchor point to any of these locations. With this button, you can move the object to the anchor point, like so. Or you can click and hold and move the object to any of these locations. You will have to keep in mind that the location of the anchor point is important when you choose to rotate or flip the object. For example, let's move the anchor point here and click on flip horizontally. It will flip based around where the anchor point is located. Let's move it here and choose to flip. As you can see, it flips based where the anchor point is. Same for the rotation or the vertical flip. One of the most important features in Expressive Animator is motion path. Let's create a simple animation. With the transform tool, I will select the object. I will add a position animator and move the playhead here. And now I can move the object. As you can see, here is the motion path. With the transform tool, you can manipulate this path. You can bend it. You can add more points by holding the Alt or Option button and clicking on the path. Notice here that the keyframes were added automatically. You can also remove them by holding the same button, Alt or Option, and clicking on the point. By holding the Control button or Command button, you can manipulate the node handles like that. And you can choose to remove these handles by, again, holding Alt or Options and clicking on these points. But we will keep it like it was before, like that. Now let's see the animation. Okay, that looks pretty nice. Here on the properties panel, we have a few options for this object. We can make it automatically rotate. By default, it doesn't rotate automatically, as you can see. But by clicking this button, it will rotate automatically on the path, like so. Nice. If we click this button again, the icon will change, and it means that now it will automatically rotate, but in reverse. Let's take a look. If we click again, it goes back to its default. That's it for this video. If you like this app, check out the links below in the description and consider subscribing, liking, and sharing this video. I will see you next time.